today with Steve Seidner, who is the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of CSC Motorcycles. CSC Motorcycles is an interesting company. It's been in business for about 3 decades, but it converted to manufacturing small motorcycles about 3 years ago. The motorcycle this company manufactures is based on a design that was manufactured in California approximately 50 to 60 years ago, called the Mustang. The focus of our discussion today is creativity, and I guess the basic question is, what makes you creative? Where do you get your ideas? How did you come up with the idea for something like a new small motorcycle based on a design that's 5 or 6 decades old?
Well, I think, how I come up with my designs is I'm out in the marketplace a lot, and I like, I see what everybody else is doing, and I kind of check everything out. But back when I started the Mustang, originally I started it because I was going to restore one of these old Mustangs for my dad, and with my experience, I started restoring this Mustang, and I started manufacturing, reproducing something that, I couldn't get a new part for, so I just said, well, I'll make one, and the next thing I know, I'm making another part, and, I just decided to, make these Mustangs because all the parts seemed pretty easy to make, and there was a lot of interest from people, and that sparked my ideas, say, well, maybe we should just make these things and sell them. There was so much interest in them.
Now, you have a long and storied history in the motorcycle industry. You had the Pro One line of high-performance V-twin motorcycles before you started making California scooters. You had other automotive and motorcycle businesses before that. You seem to have hit a string of home runs with every new product you've developed. Have you ever been in a situation where you needed to be creative and nothing came to mind? Or have you been one of the fortunate few that ideas popped into your mind and you were able to take them and run with them and turn them into successes?
I think everybody that's creative runs into a block wall once in a while. You just don't know what to do. And,
okay.
But, yeah, I've been pretty fortunate. I have had a good home run with a bunch of products I made, but they don't all just happen just like that. So I've done some of them 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Sometimes you have to do that. But, yeah, you have those times when you run into a block wall, and sometimes I just need to stop and wait till the next day and go back to it, and it eventually comes to you. You always run into those situations.
So sometimes you just step back a bit?
I just step back a little bit and say, maybe I'm trying too hard, and it's not working today, and everything you do in one day, sometimes the whole day just goes bad. Sometimes you're better off just drop it, forget it, go home, go to bed. Usually I'll wake up 2 in the morning, that's what I need to do, and I can't wait to get back the next day and try it, But and I think that's with anybody that's creative. It just doesn't always happen. You got to try things and experiment with things and make samples and prototypes, and eventually you get it. You just got to keep trying. But
does it all emanate from you personally, or do you rely heavily on other people on the CSC team for creative ideas?
No, I rely on a lot of people when I do it. I don't do everything myself. Sometimes I have my ideas. I always like to have the final say-so because it's my company and my product. But I've had guys over the years work with me that, sometimes I'll be doing something and I just not liking the way it's looking. And, one of my guys will say, well, why don't you just do this or try that? And boom, there it is, and then, I say, okay, you go ahead and do it, and then I just fine-tune it, sometimes I let them do a lot of stuff, and there's some things I tell them the way I want it, and, but I always, no matter what it is, it's, I got to put the finishing touches on it, because I'm like I like everything just perfect, and, so I always put the finishing touches on things.
Do you have any activities, either related or unrelated to your responsibilities at CSC Motorcycles, that you'll turn to if you're not feeling creative when you need to be? Stated differently, what do you do to relax and draw inspiration from?
Well, I mean, if I need to do, I have, you know, you have to think about it. You know, first you got to decide, you know, what is the requirements? What do we need to do? What is the next thing that people are asking for? And you know, you have to think about it for a little bit. But I go to a lot of shows. I go to a lot of bike shows. I read magazines. I go to car shows, and that's where I get all my inspirations. I mean, you know, there's so many guys out there that are creative, and I look at a lot of stuff in the automotive industry that I could bring into the motorcycle industry.
I see.
And you know, I can look at something, and you know, you ever look at something and you say, you know, like, who approved that? You know, it's like, you know, and it's a big company that made something, and you're like, man, that thing is just, you know, the fenders don't fit, they're too wide, they're too tall, there's gaps between them. I mean, like, you know, so I look at stuff, and I look at it for a little while, and I like to clean things up. I just like a certain look, and you know, but I get it from outside. I look at all kinds of other stuff. For me, what I do is I'm hands-on. I like to go out and actually I take whatever I'm going to do, and I actually, depending on what it is, I try to make one. I try to make something if I can. If it's something that is going to require tooling or fixtures or molding, I make a lot of prototypes out of cardboard. I'll make it out of, you know, I bend metal, or you know, take cardboard and make a fake one, and kind of put it up there first, and then take that. If I don't have the equipment to finish, I'll take my cardboard sample to a guy and say, could you bend me something up like this? There's a lot of different things like that. I draw stuff on napkins. I sit down with my guys and they'll draw it, or I'll draw it, or we'll cut a cardboard template out. There's a lot of different ways you can do, you know, make samples to get it going.
Now, you said something that was very interesting to me earlier, because it ties in with a concept we call lateral benchmarking. When you look for ideas, or you explore the way people have done things in other industries. You work in the motorcycle industry. You mentioned the automotive industry. Did I understand you correctly when you said you sometimes turn to things in the automotive industry to draw inspiration?
Of course, yeah, the automotive, because there's a lot of, you know, custom car market, the street rod, hot rod, drag racing. Those guys are, you know, they make some pretty nice stuff.
Your company recently came out with a new model of the CSC motorcycle called the P51. Can you tell us a little bit about that, where you got the name, what you use for inspiration in designing that product?
Yeah, well, for years we had the 150cc Mustang, or California scooter Mustang replica, and we came out with a 250cc, which is a much bigger engine, more powerful. So we were trying to think of a name for that motorcycle. So we decided to call it the P51, because our original motorcycle, was styled after the Mustang motorcycle. So Mustang, to me, is like the P51 Mustang in the aviation industry, the old World War II airplanes.
Okay.
So I thought, when we came out with this 250, I wanted to build one custom bike that resembled like a P-51 World War II Mustang airplane. So I look, you know, I'm here at the airport, so I see a lot of airplanes. I wanted one to look really like aviation, you know, kind of, you know, so we had one built. I did some special stuff on it, and later on we can go out and I'll show it to you.
Oh, I'd like that a lot. That would be
great. We had it custom painted like the Mustang, all aluminum with rivets, and I put the, you know, I designed a paint job for it. I went on the internet, and there's hundreds and hundreds of paint schemes, so you just have to kind of pick what one you want. And so I kind of drew something up, and I have a custom painter that does my painting for me. So to try to tell him what I want, the best way for me to do is I have a set of colored pencils, and I just took a picture of a gas tank, and I kind of drew on there how I want the panels to be, and how I want the checkerboard to be, and how I want the red, and I just kind of drew and colored in pieces and gave it to my painter, and then I let him take it, you know.
Okay, that's fascinating. Is there anything you would advise engineers in other companies to do if they have a requirement to be creative on a schedule? They have to create a new design concept and it's not coming to them immediately. What's your recommendation in that situation?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think a lot of it, though, first of all, has to do with the type of stuff you're creating. You know, I mean, you can create anything, but some things you can be creative, and it really doesn't matter cosmetically how it looks, but it's functional. And
I
that's drawings and engineering, and guys I'm sure like to do that. My type of product 100% depends on the visual aspect of it. It has to look good to sell. I mean, we're selling something that, and so when I design something, I'm always thinking of how it looks first. I'll figure out how to make it work later.
Okay.